In this video, we are going to go through how you can use the percent change, which is the percent increase or decrease, to calculate new values. So looking at the first problem, it says, I am going to buy a new video game that costs $59.99. There is 7% tax on the video game. How much will I need to pay in tax? So whenever I see tax, that should be a clue to you that it is going to be a percent increase. Tax makes something become more expensive. You have to pay the tax. So I know that my final answer would be going up. But actually, if I look at the question, which is something that you do have to make sure that you're very careful, the question says, how much will I need to pay in tax? So it's not actually asking me my total bill, like what am I going to owe when I go to the cash register? What this question is asking is just, what is the tax? So I'm going to show you a couple ways that you could solve this. I've seen kids do it both ways. You can do it either way, kind of have a choose which way makes more sense in your head. One way that we've been doing it in class is that we are going to be taking the original times the percent as a decimal. So that means I'm going to go and I'm going to take $59.99 times 7% as a decimal is 0.07. I moved the decimal over 2 times to the left, or I divide it by 100. And when I get that on my calculator, I ended up with 4.1993. Whenever you're dealing with money, we always want to round it to 2 decimal places. So if I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places, I'm going to round to that second spot. So if you remember your rounding rules, this 9 is going to make the other 9 go up. So the amount of tax is going to be $4.20. And so that's actually my final answer. If it was asking me how much the video game was, then what I would do is I'd add the $4.20. But since this question is just saying what is the tax, that's my final answer. I'm going to show you the second way that I've seen some kids doing this. We have been using proportions a lot when we are solving percents. So there's a way that I can set up a proportion for this too, which some of you, I think, like doing it that way. So if I'm going to set up a proportion, I'm going to set it up where I have my 100 on the bottom and I know my percent is 7. The cost of the video game is actually going to be my whole. So it's going to go down at the bottom. And then up on top is going to be my X. It's going to be the part. The part is my amount of tax. And then you just go ahead and solve it the same way. $59.99 times 7, divide it by 100. And you're going to end up with the same thing where you would have ended up with like the 4.1993, which then you'd round and you'd get the same thing of $4.20. So $4.20 is my final answer, which is the amount of tax. The next problem says, Mark just had a meeting with his boss. His boss informed him that he would be receiving a 5% raise next year. Currently, his salary is $60,000. How much will his salary be next year? So oftentimes, if you are making a salary, when you get a raise, it's going to be a percent raise. So this time it's going to be 5%. So if it's going to be a raise, that 5% is going to be increasing the salary. So a raise makes your salary increase. So we know that whatever amount we get, it's going to make the $60,000 go up. So what we need to figure out is that 5%. So for this one, I am going to use the first method I showed you, which is taking the original times the percent, and I'll go through it that way. So I'm going to take the $60,000 multiplied times 5%. 5% as a decimal is 0.05. To get that, I could move the decimal over 2 spots to the left, or take the 5 and divide it by 100. So when I do 60,000 times 0.05, I end up with $3,000. Now, $3,000 is not my final answer. That $3,000 is just the amount that his raise is going to be. Because in my question, it says, how much will his salary be next year? So it didn't ask how much is the raise, it asked how much is his salary. So I need to take his previous salary, so the original, and I'm going to add his raise. So the overall amount for his salary next year is going to be $63,000. So see how it increased and it went up a little bit because he was having that 3%, that 5% added to his salary. Next question. Susie loves to shop for her puppy named Waffles. She finds a sweater to keep him warm during these cold winter days. The original price of the sweater is $19.99, but it is on sale for 30% off. How much would she pay for the sweater? Now, this is probably the number one way that I use percents in real life, maybe because I shop a lot or something, but it's when I'm trying to calculate how much something is when it's on sale. So whenever I see sale, that's going to be telling me that that 30% is going to be a decrease, because if something's on sale, it's going to make the amount become less. It's going to decrease it. It's going to make it cheaper. So I'm going to solve this one using the proportion, since some people were doing it that way. I want to show you both ways. So if I set up my proportion, I always have the 100 here. I know that it's a 30% discount, so I'm going to put the 30 up here. And then on this side, the original cost of the sweater, that's going to be my whole. And the discount will be my part that shows up on top. So to solve that, I'm going to take the $19.99 times 30, and then I divide it by 100. So this one, when I do that, I get 5.997 on my calculator. This is, when I round it, it's a little bit of a weird one because when I round, I'm looking for 2 decimal places. This 7 is actually going to tell this 9 to go up to a 0, which actually is going to make this one go up to the 0, which I'm going to go all the way over here. So I'm going to end up rounding that amount to $6. So that 5.997, when I round it to 2 decimal places, it goes up to $6. So the question wasn't how much is the discount. The question of this was saying how much would she have to pay? So since it's a discount, I'm going to have to take the $19.99 and I'm going to subtract the $6 because it's a decrease, it's a discount. When I go and I take $19.99 and I subtract $6, I'm going to end up with $13.99, which makes sense if you think about the situation. Sweater started out at $19.99, 30%, going to make it cheaper. $13.99 seems like a reasonable amount if it's 30% off. So for this last one, I want you to go ahead and try this on your own. This says the value of a new car decreases by 20% in the first year of ownership. If you buy a new car for $29,000, what is its value after 1 year? So I want you to pause the video. I want you to try it on your own. You should be doing this in your notes. And then after you've tried it, then go ahead and turn the video back on and see if you did it correctly. So here is how you could have done this problem. So I did it the first method where I'm just taking 29,000 times the 20% as a decimal. So 20% right there. And then I get 5,800. 5,800 is the amount that it's decreasing. It said right here that it's decreasing by 20%. So that means that it's going to get less. So then that's not my final answer. What I need to do is I have to take 29,000 and subtract it to figure out that new amount of the car. So my final amount is going to be $23,200, which would make sense. The car got cheaper. That was 20% off of it. So just make sure you choose which way makes more sense. Do you want to set up a proportion? Do you want to do it the way that I just showed you right here? But always ask yourself when you get an answer, does my answer make sense? and did it answer the question that it was asking you to answer? Please make sure if you have any questions that you ask me. Otherwise, have a good day.